All right, let's cut to the chase. 9 days until the trade deadline. We're talking Shohei Ohtani. We looked at a couple trade proposals last time. You guys really liked the video, so we're going to come back and look at a lot more. So if, and a lot of people are thinking when, this Ohtani deal goes down, you can get an idea of what it might entail. So let's start off with the Angels and Rangers. This one, a haul, 6 players. We've got Jack Leiter, Owen White, Ezekiel Duran, Aaron Zavala, Justin Foscue, and Emilio Teodo. That's a lot of names. Jack Leiter, a big one for a lot of people. He's not really progressing in the minors as a lot of people thought, as the Rangers thought he would be. His ERA is hovering around the 5 to 6 mark last year and this year. You look at a guy like Ezekiel Duran, who came up with the Rangers this year and has played pretty well. A lot of these trades, you'll notice there's 90% of them include minor league talent, guys that have not come up yet. But there's usually that one guy because teams like to have something that they're going to see an immediate impact, especially the Angels who are pseudo-contending, the trademark for like the last 10 years. I mean, they may never make the playoffs, but don't tell them that. 6 players to get Ohtani. The Rangers, I think this is definitely a rental situation. I don't think Ohtani wants to play in Middle America. I do think that Arlington, Texas is a big market and that they're a good team. They're first place in the AL West. And right now, I don't think there's a de facto top dog in the American League. So a team like the Rangers renting Ohtani, the best player in baseball, that I understand. And there's a couple big names here that you don't want to give up, but in order to get a talent like Shohei, you're going to have to. So I actually don't hate this trade. This is a pretty decent proposal. Here we got the Yankees, which this one, is going to cause some controversy for sure, because you got Jason Dominguez at the top of the list right there. You've also got Gleyber Torres, a proven commodity. He's been an all-star. He's played really well. He's played really good defense at second base since he made the switch over. And you got Oswald Peraza there as well. Now the Yankees, I do think the West Coast is most likely where Ohtani's going to end up, where he wants to be. He wants to be where it's warm because he has thoughts of playing in October. He doesn't want to deal with 30, 40-degree weather in some of these places. But the Yankees have a history, and they've got a lot of talent on that roster. So I do think they have what it takes to sign him. But do you risk giving up a guy like Jason Dominguez? Now, he is their number 1 prospect currently, just ahead of Austin Wells. He ranks 41st in baseball. He's dropped a bit because he's not really performing too well. In Double-A last year, he hit sub-200 in a dozen at-bats. But this year, he's only got a 714 OPS. And he's 20 years old now. It might be hard to believe. You might think he's Benjamin Button. He just never ages. He does. And at this point, you want to see him start to progress more. That's a lot to give up if you're the Yankees, a lot of big names. But I think if you are the Yankees, to make this trade, you know enough that this might not be a rental. So I don't hate that one. We got the Dodgers, which I think is probably a top 2 contender to get Ohtani this offseason, stealing him away from the other, I can't say the other team in Los Angeles. They're playing Anaheim, damn it. Get it right. So we got Emmett Shaheen. We have Gavin Stone, Michael Busch, Dalton Rushing, Andy Pahe, and River Ryan. 6 players. Again, high-ranking prospects. Pahe, Rushing, Busch, Stone, and Shaheen is their number 2 through 6 in the farm system. That is a tremendous amount to give up regardless, even if you do get him next year. I don't know if you necessarily have to get him now, because I think some of these top landing spots for Ohtani have to realize, we don't have to get him right now. If he gets traded to a Texas Rangers, if he gets traded to a Baltimore Orioles, which we'll see later on this list, he's almost guaranteed not get assigned there. So we could potentially save our farm, be a better team, and have a better chance to win with him when we give him $50 million a year. So I don't love this trade for the Dodgers, but I've seen them do crazier. We've got the Orioles, as we just talked about, and this one's a little bit more tame. You've got Colton Cowser, which is an absolute massive prospect for them, which they highly covet, and that's a tough one to give up. Because, like I said, I don't think that he'd come back and sign a 6-year, 7-year, 8-year deal. to play in Baltimore, Maryland. It's on the East Coast, but I don't think it's a prestigious enough location for Ohtani to want to live for the better part of a decade. Now, I have seen trades involving Baltimore because there's a lot of talk about them. I mean, they've got a great team. They've got a real young heart with Adley. I've seen names like Grayson Rodriguez get thrown around. I've seen Gunnar Henderson. I'm just going to say this right now. If you're a team like Baltimore and you're willing to deal a Gunnar Henderson for someone that is a 99% rental, you are making a grave mistake, and I hope that they wouldn't be foolish enough to do that. Speaking of foolish, here we have Seattle, which is kind of in the contender versus pretender argument because they're kind of in the same boat as the Angels right now. They're looking up at a couple other teams in that division, 5-6 games back from the wild card. And this is having them give up Bryce Miller, who's looked really good this year, on top of 4 other prospects, including a guy of Emerson Hancock, who I really like. I just don't understand it. You have the Padres here. They're in 4th place, and all the 3 teams above them look way better. Yes, you spent so much money. It's hard to grasp with the idea that it might not work out for the Padres with Juan Soto. Maybe you have to trade him, or maybe he just walks and you figure something else out. But giving up 6 prospects, I'm not going to look at the rank of these guys because it doesn't matter. 6 prospects that could bloom and blossom into anything for one guy that is not guaranteed to be on your team come February is just ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd. The Padres, they need to know their worth. If anything, keep what they've got. You are not a buyer. You can't be 10 games out of first place. Right now, they're 6 out of a second wild. Right now, they're 6 games out of a third wild card slot, and expect to burn your whole farm for one guy. Then you got the Reds. There's talk about them dealing Johnny India. Then you have them giving up Spencer Steer here to get Ohtani. I like Cincinnati. I think they're a good team. But giving out 2 of your best hitters when Atlanta's better. I think Philadelphia's probably a team I trust more in October. The Dodgers, I think, are better. I think the Diamondbacks are better set up. This whole surge through the standings for the Reds this year is by the young guys that they brought up. I don't know why you would start shipping them out to get a guy who's going to come in for 3 months and walk. And you got the Giants here, giving up Helio Ramos, Luis Matos, Carson Wisenhunt. A lot of big names. The Giants, though, I do think them and the Dodgers have the highest chance of getting Ohtani this offseason, bar none. Personally, I'd be pretty shocked if Ohtani was not wearing a Angels, Dodgers, or Giants jersey come the start of next season. And I do think that's worth something. You know, we talked about you don't have to, if you're one of these top locations, get him now. But I do think it helps sweeten the pot when you have a couple months for him to get ingrained into the culture. Got a couple months for him to meet the guys. A team like the Giants, a team like the Dodgers, a team like the Yankees, who are probably going to make the playoffs. He has a chance to experience October baseball, which he's never been able to do. You saw how excited, how competitive he was come the World Baseball Classic in the finals, leading Japan into winning it his first year in it. I think there's a lot to be said about the recruiting process there. So I don't absolutely hate the idea, even if it's giving up a lot of these prospects that are going to help make your team even better with Shohei, but you might think of it as an inevitable and something that you have to do to get the edge over these other teams that also have the pocketbook to bring in a guy like Ohtani. Last up, we got the Red Sox, which I think this one is ridiculous. I just want to shit on it quickly. The Boston Red Sox have been doing better. They're 2 back from the wild card, 8.5 out of first behind Baltimore. But giving up the number 3 prospect in baseball in Brian Bayo, who's been pretty damn good the last couple months, to get Ohtani is obscene. It is ridiculous, and frankly, I find it absolutely hilarious that this one would even be included on this list, because I think this is the worst one. Again, not saying Ohtani wouldn't go to Boston, he wouldn't go to the East Coast, But giving up these two, are you really going to stomach giving up the number 3 prospect in baseball? And it's not even a guarantee that you make the playoffs. Right now, you're not in the playoffs. So I'll leave with this. Yes, rentals are rentals for a reason. They're teams that are good, that want to bring in a very great player to help them across the finish line. In the Rangers' case, I get it. I think they're already very good, and adding a guy like Ohtani can put them over the top and make them the clear number 1 in the American League. But if you're a Mariners, if you're a Red Sox, if you're a Red, if you're a Padre, I just don't see how adding this one guy is going to completely change your fortune. When we've seen him and Mike Trout be together for years and have not even made the playoffs, not even a wild card spot. So don't blow it up. Don't give up your entire future. You just have to know your place.